So for those people who don't know you, Anna, could you take a minute or two, tell us a little bit about you and your business, and then we're going to get into your conversation about what headhunters and recruiters are looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Anna Morgan, and I am an experienced recruiter with about 15 plus years of agency, so headhunting experience and corporate talent acquisition experience. And so I have taken that knowledge and leadership authority to coach job seekers and career changers to fast track them to career success. So really leveraging how to interview effectively, how to network, how to gain visibility on LinkedIn, how to fix up your resume so it makes it easy for the recruiter to understand your career story, and several other aspects that really build confidence and help job seekers accelerate the process when they decide to make a change.
Awesome. So, and I'm delighted to have you come back here today. And when I first was planning this event, I kind of usually start with topics, and then I start to ask for suggestions or, speakers and things like that. And I think you and I got into a conversation. I said, which one do you want to pick from the lineup or the list of topics that I put together? And I think we may have even modified it a little bit. But you're going to be talking to us today from the perspective of recruiters and headhunters. And there's a lot of people that are in career transition looking for a job right now that are struggling with, I don't know what they're looking for. And there might be people who are working, but starting to think about finding a recruiter or a headhunter to work with. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you now, Anna. Now, are you sharing slides or are we just doing a talk for your segment?
I would like to share.
Okay. So I'm going to give you instructions. So in the bottom of your StreamYard, Anna, there should be a little share icon. So you'll click on share it first. And then I have to enable it. So if you accidentally share the wrong page, it'll give me a minute so I can pull it up. So I'm seeing one that says recruiters and headhunters, what are we seeking? I'm going to pull that up on screen. There we go.
Hey.
All right. And I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Anna, and I'm going to pull myself off of the video. I'll come back on at about 11:20 to help to facilitate our Q&A. So we'll go ahead and turn it to you.
Perfect. So I always like to start off with a little heart and humor because I know looking for a job is hard. It is hard work. A lot of people have been looking for work for quite a long time, or they've stayed employed in situations that weren't ideal. And really my goal and intention today is to give you a little behind the scenes of, what recruiters are looking for to help you level up your experience, which will foster better relationships and basically help move the needle on opportunities. So just giving you some insights, and this is especially relevant as I've been back in a recruiting seat in the last 6 weeks. So just sharing a little bit of the patterns that I've seen when I've been seeking or speaking with talent through this process. So the next slide has a little video in it. And again, a little heart and humor, and then we'll dive into some practical tips, okay?
Hi, I'm here for the interview with all my baggage. Pity party. All the times I've been ghosted. Not trusting recruiters. Negotiating. Don't take old baggage into new experiences with recruiters.
So that was a fun little video that I did on Instagram a couple months ago when I was talking about kind of 10 tips and 10 ways to effectively work with recruiters. And I know being on the side, looking for work, setting up multiple conversations and jumping through hoops can feel like a lot. But if we can take a moment and just try to leave, all that luggage in another room when we start conversations with those recruiters, you're really going to position yourself for success. So try to forget about any of the bad experiences that you had with past recruiters and try to just start a new slate, because not all recruiters are created equally. And most recruiters that are in the business do it because they genuinely love to help people. So the best way to accelerate those opportunities is just to stay super positive, try to stay in front of those recruiters. And if it's not a great opportunity, it's okay to move on to the next thing. So what we're going to cover today is really what recruiters see people struggle with. And the first is really how they tell their career story. All recruiters look at your LinkedIn profile. So that's a great way to showcase your experience. And then how you can move from a transactional experience to a partnership and collaboration experience. and then some little hacks on strategic follow-up. So just real high level, and I want to share this with you because I don't know if people realize how many different types of recruiters are out there. So I would say the top 5 are your corporate recruiters, which are salaried employees who are paid to find, vet, and recruit talent, and they don't get bonuses or kickbacks for hiring talent. Then you have staffing agencies, which they basically fill your temp to hire positions, and they are, hired by the corporation to find talent, and you would be employed by the staffing firm working on site or for that corporate entity. Then you have contingency or direct hire, and those are corporations that hire these types of recruiters because maybe they can't handle, the volume of workload, and they have so many positions that maybe are super niche. So they may go to a recruiter that specializes in accounting and finance or marketing and creative or engineering. And then you have retained and executive. So that's your top tier talent, your VPs, your CFOs, your chief legal officers, your board of directors, and they are contingency and pay like a retained fee for those recruiters to conduct that search. And then you also have outplacement recruiters where corporations hire recruiters or coaches, like several of us presenting today, to help these employees find opportunities. So there's a lot more out there on the internet, but it's helpful to know the type of recruiter that you're dealing with so that you can engage in them in a way that's meaningful and gets you results. So when we talk about leveling up our career story, and in the poll that I did yesterday, this was probably 63% of where people felt that they struggled. So 4 super simple things that you want to focus on is really having that clarity. And Jess Smith is going to be doing a presentation after me about clarity, and she's going to give you some golden nuggets about if you're struggling on what you want to do next. She'll give you some exercises to work through that. But knowing what you want and then being able to really articulate and nail that 30-second to 1-minute pitch, and then take that language and save it somewhere where you can use it in all your different types of communication. And this is going to tie into your strategic follow-up and also ties into what, like G was saying earlier, about building your employee or candidate brand. And then really just be concise. I think one of the pet peeves recruiters experience is candidates that just go on and on and on and on and on and really are not observing the equal exchange through the conversation. So being concise is super, super important. And then really focusing on your stories that are key accomplishments and impact and process improvement and transformation. Really don't be afraid to get out there and brag about yourself. So you want to make it easy for the recruiter to understand your story and also tell your story. So a lot of the resumes I'm seeing now, and because we're moving to more of this international talent market, we have to consider the level of intelligence and proficiency of the person viewing your resume. So many people will just put the name of their company without really giving us a little Google summary or a foundation or kind of a softball to what that organization does or is. So I would invite you to consider putting that short summary to help the reader easily understand the type of organization that you have worked for or are working for. Why that is important is because recruiters are looking to connect the dots. So for example, I work for Floor & Decor. So if I was updating my resume, I would simply put this short statement in case there was someone who didn't actually know what Floor & Decor did. If we assume that our readers know all these companies, we are opening the door for things to fall through the cracks, or there to be some bias that they may think it's a different type of company other than what it is. So really setting the stage for the recruiter so the recruiter doesn't have to ask, so what does Floor & Decor do? How many employees do they have? Like, what is their main focus? So that's a way to really like level up the conversation. And it sounds super simple, but I would say more than half of the phone screens that I do daily, I typically have to say, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with this company. Can you give me a little background about who they are and what they're about? Or I'm like, madly Google searching. And then you really want to make sure when you're telling these stories that you're providing those numbers and metrics, because that's really what matters. So something like the example below, within the first year grew sales from $1 million to over $3 million in 12 months, won the Circle of Excellence in Top Sales World. That is something that is going to land in the recruiter's brain and also give them something to tell the hiring manager or the client that they're speaking to. So those stories are super effective. And then below I have, 2019 finished at 100% of a $15 million goal and signed 53 accounts. So those are good examples to model success after as you're updating your resume. So the other area that I think job seekers have a ton of opportunity to level up in their presentation with recruiters and to work more effectively. And this is an area that we as recruiters really want to see more of. And so your energy matters, how you show up on that phone screen. If you keep your commitments, if you cancel last minute, we are really actively trying to advocate for you and help you get in front of the right people. But, we need that equal exchange, right? And don't be afraid to ask the interviewer how they want to conduct the interview. Now, I will tell you, a lot of recruiters sometimes don't ask great questions. And so you may have to say, would you like me to start at my later experience and work my way up? Or would you like me to start with my current experience? So going back to the slide before about the summary on your resume of the company that you worked for, if you don't have that, make sure that you set the stage and say, yes, in my current role, I work for Floor & Decor, which is a leading hard surface construction materials retailer nationwide. And for them, I do full cycle recruiting, and then you can go into the conversation. So really giving them that kind of bouncing board to really understand more about the environment, the type of company, which again, helps the recruiter connect the dots to the industries and the current openings. You also just want to make sure that you've researched the company and you know a little bit about the organization, so you can effectively say, yeah, well, I know that they have 135 stores and their stock doubled or whatever it may be, because that is a statement of your work that recruiters are evaluating to see, how much due diligence that you've done prior to coming into that conversation. And most importantly, find a mentor, find an accountability buddy. I know G had mentioned a group that she does mock interviews with people, because practice makes perfect. We think like, oh, I know my resume, but then once we're in front of people, we fall apart and just kind of blabber. So you want to make sure you practice and really know your resume inside and out, because there's nothing worse than a recruiter asking a question of a bullet point on your resume and you see people glaze over. So those are a couple little tips. Recruiters love social media and LinkedIn. We are like FBI agents and professional stalkers. So, over 70% of employers check social media profiles of candidates to learn more about them. So there's so many great LinkedIn experts that can help you maximize how to tell your story through your profile. Having a compelling cover image to an optimized headline, because recruiters, we forget that LinkedIn is a search engine like Google. So you want to make sure that headline has the positions that you want, not necessarily the position that you're in, so that when we are doing query or Boolean searches in LinkedIn Recruiter, which is a component of LinkedIn, your profile and your resume will be searchable and you will be easily found. I love the About section. This is where you can kind of highlight a blend of your personal and professional life and kind of let us in a little bit. 2020 and COVID has kind of busted the myth that we have to be all super buttoned up and super professional. It's human to human. We hire humans. Let us know a little bit about you. Have fun with it. Tell us where you've been, what you're about, what you're doing when you're not working. What are some of your peak career moments? This is an area that can really help your resume come to life. And then you have lots of areas like your featured section where you can display other professional certifications and accomplishments and all the things that amplify your leadership voice so you can be top of mind as you're going through your search and considering a career change. So recruiters don't want to ghost you. They don't want to make you feel bad. We want collaboration and partnership. So here's 5 just quick ways that you can level up your relationships with recruiters and get better results. Provide your schedule and availability proactively. One of recruiters' most challenging parts of their job is scheduling. It's like herding cats with hiring managers and clients. So that is always super helpful. Please keep commitments on your phone screens, your video interviews, and your face-to-face meetings. Obviously, we're humans. We have sick kids, life happens, but just try to communicate as much as possible. The other thing is really please do the research, right? Understand the role that you have applied for. Make sure that you have gone through some exercises where you can tell that recruiter a story that aligns with some of those key responsibilities and experiences, and then have questions prepared. So I've always loved it when people have a question about the person, right? Like, so if somebody looks at my profile and says, oh, I see that you're a volunteer lacrosse coach, or you love to rescue dogs, like those things make that human connection. And that's in a sea of candidates when recruiters are working 30, 40, 50 plus positions. It's those little nuggets and gems of rapport that land in their body and their brain that helps them remember you, to be top of mind and put you at the top of the stack of the presentations that they're making to the hiring manager. So don't be afraid to ask them questions about that recruiter. I always recommend that you have a really strong open-ended question about the role. Why is it open? What is the hiring manager's perception of quality? What are some of the significant goals that they're trying to accomplish from filling this position? And then really about the organization, so you can screen to the culture, the mission, the vision, and the values. And then most importantly, be intentional with your follow-up. And so I'm going to jump right over to what strategic follow-up looks like. And I think a lot of candidates struggle with like, how much follow-up is too much? I don't want to be a pest. I don't want to be a stalker. Here's the deal. You want to take radical responsibility for your career. Employers are looking for hustlers, innovators, creatives, people that are like ready to do grassroots, different things to stand out. And that's why this platform is so phenomenal. So going back to nailing your 30-second to 1-minute pitch, if you can come up with like your pitch, right, of who you are, what you're about, and what separates you from the sea of other candidates, that's the kind of language that you want to use in all of your communications. So that way they're seeing it in the email follow-up, in the cover letter, in your profile, in your about section, and with your additional follow-up. So then you're building your personal brand through all those different touch points. I've polled many of my recruiter friends, they love a variety of different follow-ups. So text, phone calls, emails, video messages, voice notes, LinkedIn messages, all different types, but recruiters are moving fast and they really want short, concise updates, reach outs, and a call to action is always super helpful to make them take action, to reach back out to you, to give you an update, to say, hey, they went in another direction, or I'd love to keep you in mind for future positions. And then follow up with purpose. I recommend to make it, am I talking too much?
You're fine. I'm just
okay, I'm almost done.
Well, we've actually got like till 11:30, so we'll go into Q&A. But I didn't want to interrupt you. The flow. I was trying to like quietly come back in.
No, you're good. I was like, I can't really see what's going on, so I'm just like in my zone, going off here.
No, you're totally fine. Keep on going, and maybe in about another 5 minutes we'll have our next speaker coming in, and then we'll do some Q&A. But yeah, I just kind of came back in, so I'm here and ready to go into the. So you're not like, what happened to Brenda? Where did she go?
No, this is perfect. This is the last 2 points, and then I'm wrapping it up.
All right, awesome.
So when you follow up with a recruiter, this is super helpful. If you can reference the last time you spoke with that recruiter and the position that you spoke about or the next steps that you spoke about, it's going to, again, help them connect the dots, especially when they're talking to a lot of different people. If you can say, hey, we spoke on April 14th about this position. You had mentioned you were going to submit my resume. I was just following up to see if you had feedback. So being really concise and intentional is super helpful. And then, transparency. This is kind of a delicate conversation, but pick recruiters. Like, you don't have to work with a million recruiters, right? Pick a handful and build really strong relationships with them so they really understand what's important to you in your job search. And then just be as transparent and upfront about opportunities. If you have a competing opportunity or timelines are not matching up, the recruiters want opportunities to work out for you. Nobody wants to start from scratch. So if you can build that relationship and be transparent and honest, kind of like what's going on, that will help them, kind of put the heat on the hiring managers or the scheduling to make sure that you have a chance to adequately evaluate all the opportunities that you're pursuing. So what are we seeking? We're seeking you, and it is a team effort. And I think there's a lot of change in the market right now. And this is a tremendous opportunity for job seekers and recruiters and headhunters to be career BFFs. And with that, I am Anna Morgan. I hope you all enjoyed this. And Brenda, thank you so much for having me.
You were awesome. And it's funny because you're like, am I talking too much? And then people are like commenting in chat. They're like, no, I love all the stuff that you're saying. Your content is so helpful. And I'm just saying, it's kind of funny how, and I see Lisa has a comment, I see Fabia's, and everybody's like, no, keep talking. Like, this is such good information.
Thank you.
So many great tips. And I invite you guys, if you have any comments to add to the conversation or questions, add them in below. So I'm going to pull one question. I see a bunch of questions that are coming up in here. And Effie has a question. She normally asks if the position is new or existing. Is it okay to ask? What do you think about that, Anna?
Yeah, that's a great question, because how long it's been open and why it's open is always a great indication of kind of what's going on with the company, right? Is it open because they promoted someone, or is it open out of genuine turnover? And then just having some follow-up questions about, one question I love is, tell me about one of the team members that has been a rock star and what was their background and what has made them successful in the role.
Awesome. Very good. That's a great question. And guys, feel free to ask your questions. Even if we don't get to all of your questions right now, they'll still be in the chat. And then Anna can see them a little bit later on when we start to wrap. And we're going to have our next speaker come in the room in just a minute or two here. So I'm going to keep going with questions while we're waiting for that next person coming in. I saw a couple more, so give me just a second. I love that you guys are, it's such an interactive chat. And lots of questions that are coming in here. All right, so I see our next speaker, Jess, just came into the room. And let me pull the next question up on screen. As you start to think about the answer to that, I'm just going to welcome Jess and say, hey, Jess, can you hear us okay?
Hi, ladies. Yes, hello.
All right, perfect. I'm going to move you back into the groom room as we finish, and then I'll bring you back in just a few minutes here, okay?
Okay, cool.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so there we go. So Lisa, on the call to action, do you list a date by? Thoughts?
So personally, like, if you give me a deadline, like, my rebel side would be like, what? Yeah. And again, like, when recruiters are really busy, but it's about being pleasantly persistent and, professional, and honoring, that we understand your timeline and your sense of urgency to find an opportunity and get an answer. And so that's why, if kind of going back to some of the things that Judy said about that law of reciprocity, if you can phrase things in a way that makes it a little bit more about them and a little bit less about you, you're increasing that nourishing of your relationship and building trust, as opposed to being in that place of desperation or I just need a result. Because we're all trying to just juggle so many things, but that call to action would, can be something, would you be available sometime this week to just jump on a 5-minute call to catch up, right? Is there anything else that you need from me that would better present me for this particular opportunity? Or, touch base with a recruiter, not necessarily just for a result, send a referral, comment on something that you've seen in the press or that the company is doing that really inspires you or has maintained your interest in the company. Little things like that go a long way.
That's perfect. And I whenever, when I was in the corporate mode of job seeking and when I would do the follow-up, I would say, I was kind of like a passive follow-up. I would say, I'll plan to reach back out to you again, Anna, next Friday through email, unless I hear back from you. So I kind of gave you an out. If you wanted to say, hey, we decided to go with somebody different, if you let me know, then I'm not going to continue. I don't want to say bug you. I'm not going to continue to follow up because I think there is that careful line between being aggressive and assertive, and you don't want to cross that line there and there. But
yeah,
great.
and I think a lot of recruiters get frustrated, or job seekers get frustrated because they may not hear back. But even if you're not hearing back, your recruiters are seeing those comments, those DMs, those voicemails. And so again, like, even if it feels like you're being a little bit of a stalker or a pest, there have been those times where, I'm just going to be honest, where I'm like, oh my God, here's that email from so-and-so again. And sure enough, there was a position that landed in my inbox that was perfect for that person. And maybe if they hadn't been pleasantly persistent, they wouldn't have been top of mind. So again, like, if not now, when? Like, go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. And
I know all my recruiter friends are probably like, oh, Anna, stop.
But it's also, I think there's something to be said where you're busy and, you're dealing with one, it could be 5 open recs for multiple positions and thousands of candidates. And especially if the role requires somebody to demonstrate creativity, networking, expertise, any of those things that kind of show that you're going to do well in the role, that you can kind of pull yourself above. You might go, wow, this might be a really good salesperson for us to bring in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as we start to wrap here today, Anna, first question, are you able to make your slides available to folks? Okay, so I put on the screen here, guys, and I just put in chat as well if you want to click to go to the page. But if you go to my webpage, mellermarketing.com/LilApril, LIL stands for LinkedIn Live April. I tried to make it clever and witty there. If you go there, sign up, I'll add you to my email list for this event, and you'll receive, what I'm going to do is take all of these presenters. So you'll get like a 30-minute clip, a link to watch Anna's playback if you want to watch it again. And then also I'll have links where you can download the presenter slides that will be in there, but you do have to sign up to get those. So go to that webpage. And Anna, I've pulled up your LinkedIn up on screen. Are you open to accepting invitations from people, or what's your kind of personal philosophy there?
Absolutely. Yes. I love to connect with people that are passionate about the topics that we're talking about today. And, I am always, people are welcome to grab a 30-minute strategy conversation on my featured section. So if you want to chat further or get, some one-on-one on some of the topics that we've discussed today, I'm super happy to spend some time with you.
Awesome. Thank you again, Anna. It's been such a delight speaking with you. We really appreciate all your insights. I hope you're able to go into the live stream for a little bit because there may be some additional questions or comments I didn't get to, if that's okay.
Totally. Absolutely. Brenda, it was a pleasure. You're going to love Jess Smith. She's such an angel and has so much wisdom with career clarity. So y'all get ready. Thanks so much.